It was precisely 7 o'clock on the eve of Christmas. A family sat in the corner of the house by their tree to play games and listen to their father read from the Bible. There was a crackling fire and piping hot tea. It was warm and cozy inside, a bit of a blizzard outside, but no matter, it was Christmas, and all was well. The children very much liked the traditions of Christmas, cutting down a balsam fir tree from the forest, the smell of gingerbread filling the air, and singing carols by the fire. Each year brought a certain familiarity, a certain sense of peace, but this year would be different from every other year. A wooden chessboard sat on the table at a slight angle between two of the children. A friendly game would ensue. Henry looked at the board, then looked at Hannah, then the board again. He was apprehensive to make his first move. Hannah smirked, as if she had already won the game in her mind. This made Henry feel uneasy. The eldest daughter sat at the edge of the room reading a book, every so often peeking her eyes over to be amused by the goings-on. She found her siblings to be quite entertaining, sometimes more than the book. Hannah was attempting a fianchetto attack, obviously reminiscent to Henry of the Belevnets vs. Bronstein game, 1941. Henry was in shock.
I'm in shock.
He needed a defensive strategy. The father was sitting in the corner of the room reading from Luke, recounting the story of the birth of Jesus. His eyes would glance around the room on occasion to see if anyone was paying attention. Hannah became increasingly distracted. With each turn, Henry seemed to take longer than the last. As he was thinking about his next move, Henry would tap his fingers on the table. This made Hannah impatient. The sound reminded her of horses galloping in a field. She pictured herself riding on a horse as a queen, on her way to warn the king of impending doom. She had once read a book about a queen. It pleased her to think of such things. The game intensified when Hannah took Henry's pawn. Her attacks came with brutal precision. Hannah inquired about cookies and music.
How about some cookies and music?
Her mother answered from a distant room, "Yes, dear."
Yes, dear.
The game continued. Henry had erred by moving his king to f1, then exposed to Hannah's knight. His attempted escape to e1 was thwarted by Hannah's other knight, thereby abruptly halting the game in a checkmate. At precisely 7:25, their mother brought a tray of freshly baked gingerbread men and placed them on the table above Hildegard, who was playing on the floor with a nativity creche. She asked her mother for a cookie.
May I have a cookie?
Earlier that day, she had asked her mother for cookies on 15 separate occasions. Every time the response was the same, until now.
Yes, you may.
Suddenly, when out on the lawn there arose such a clatter, they all simultaneously ran to see what was the matter. They saw nothing.
We saw nothing.
When they arrived back at the table one by one, they noticed all of the ginger men were gone. Hildegard was ruminating over it all. Their first thought was to accuse each other. They were all quite angry with one another. They sat in bewilderment. There were only 4 reasonable explanations for what had just occurred. Number 1, Henry ate all of the cookies. He was under the impression that each person would receive their own tray of cookies, and the one placed on the table was to be his, and his alone. He proceeded to eat all cookies in record time. Number 2, they were abducted by aliens. As the mother was making the cookies, she wanted to sprinkle a dash of ginger into the bowl. Unbeknownst to her, the lid was loose, and instead of a dash, it was a heap of ginger. The smell was so strong it entered outer space. Aliens had a keen sense for ginger, and immediately entered Earth's atmosphere to retrieve the cookies. Number 3, Hildegard accidentally knocked over the tray. Quite clumsily, as she arose to rush to the window, her head hit the very edge of the tray, causing it to flip into the air, which then caused the cookies to flip into the air, which then led to them crumbling on the floor. She quickly brushed the pieces under her dress, so as to not be seen by the family members. Number 4, the gingerbread men walked away, quietly singing, "You can't catch me, I'm the gingerbread man." Each ginger man walked off the tray, never to be seen again. There was no evidence to suggest that any of these scenarios had actually taken place. Their mother wondered if she'd even brought the cookies out at all. She went back into the kitchen to fill the tray with more cookies. She placed the cookies on the table. Another chess game began. Father picked up his instrument. Hildegard looked suspiciously at Henry. The fire needed another log, and they all ate their cookies.